Thanks for sticking around and welcome back for our final set of the day. We've got Elevate and E-Storm to finish things off here. And Elevate, well, the storyline here is they have not lost a single map the entire split.
And today's the day that changes. Elevate versus E-Storm.
It happened with Dush. Monday. Elevate and E-Storm. It's going 5. It could. I mean,
you know,
it could. But the problem is if it were anyone but Elevate, I would say it might be in there,
yeah.
but I don't know if it'll happen today.
I don't even know if E-Storm, like, if I remember correctly, like, Xbox, I think last week Xbox got to play, but I know E-Storm as well as Retaliation had been, like, having issues, either internet issues or just getting enough people to play issues over the last, like, 3 or 4 weeks. So it's just like, you're coming in, and when you're played with that kind of thing, and you're going up against, again, a map so far, a team so far that has been, well, undefeated. So
yeah,
I'm going to say an uphill battle, to say the least.
It is a bit of an uphill battle.
It's little difficult.
And you see down here, Trenzik unlosing so far, 21-0 as far as map wins and losses. And in the meta we're in, with the aggressive off-tanks being as important as they are, Trenzik has certainly filled that role and then some. In Elevate, I think, honestly, looking at this one, the top right of the screen there, all 5 streaked out towards the end of the game. That kind of tells the story of how a lot of these streaked out of their minds.
They're at the top of the mountain, but they're really only halfway up.
Yeah. Did you see my tweet?
Yes.
That was amazing.
That's the only reason Doc's in my mind is, and if it had been literally anyone else who had tweeted that out, I would have thought it was Photoshop, but because it was you, I was like, Dave had to just screen cap that.
No, it was me. Well, no, I take 0 credit. That was absolutely stolen from somewhere else on the internet, but I trust my sources on
Dave's
this one.
Thief.
I'm a thief. Looking over at E-Storm, though, they have their hands full today, needless to say, all the way going into this one. I think you look at, again, a guy across the way, similar to how you looked at Trenzik. Ochada's going to have to sort of fill that same role here, but there's going to be so much pressure coming right back at him from Elevate, I think. And actually showing a little bit of flexibility here. The Leon, the Inara, the Khan, all in the same highlight reel. So some flexibility from them, but going to be a tough day, I would say.
It's one of those things, flexibility is really good to help you. I want to say it's more like elasticity, right? Like where you can stretch to fit whatever you need, but there is a breaking point. And I feel like Elevate are going to be the ones that kind of break that apart, where it's like, cool, you might be able to play Leon, you can play Inara, you can play whatever you want. We're still going to just be, well, admittedly a stronger team, going to Fish Market.
Interestingly enough, yeah, Fish Market first.
But based on E-Storm being on my left, I want to say that they are the ones who chose it.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
I can't remember because we always swap as these teams meet and as they go forward, so I never remember anymore.
Never remember. Either way, I mean,
still a weird map to start on.
It is, regardless of who picked it, still a weird map to start on. Atlas, though, very good at controlling some of those nooks and crannies if you choose the AoE setback. Of course, being able to launch that behind, you know, boxes and some of the other stuff in the middle there. And with an open point in the middle, it really makes some of these frontliners and people with some more sustain a little bit more important here, because there's just so much damage coming in from the top down that you have to sustain.
Well, Khan, Victor, Atlas, Vivian still available if they so please.
Knessa.
They're going to,
hello.
I want to say almost show their hand too early. Knessa being picked up second.
I think Elevate were going to steal it away.
I mean, Strix is still available.
It is, right.
And so if you're looking for a sniper battle, you can do, I guess that's going to be E-Storm saying, this is, like, we need the Knessa. Give us her. Grab the Vivian. This is a really good start. Like, draft-wise, this is really solid.
I mean, what are your thoughts about Knessa here on Fish Market?
I like her. It's one of those things we've kind of seen her, especially on, like, PC, shifted in favor of a Cassie or a Leon to be able to come through, because admittedly the one thing Knessa has and that Strix has on this map is you kind of commit to the scope. Strix is less so because you can pull out the pistol, but Victor, Leon, it's like, cool, you're gonna have enough range to box from catwalk to catwalk, and you can hit the point, and you can even shoot a little beyond without having to worry about a flank jumping up on you and causing you trouble.
We've gotten to see Makoa a good bit today, actually. And he's, of course, made a big, ancient, giant, turtle-sized impact on a lot of the games that he's been in, notably in a couple triple tank compositions today. Ying's rounding out the Elevate roster here. Victor, Leon, they just got some good old-fashioned direct damage for them. Of course, Khan, Barrack. And Knessa's really the only I would say, kind of interesting eyebrow raiser in this one. Other than that, both teams pretty straightforward, good drafts.
And honestly, it's one of those things specifically for Fish Market, as we have seen. Most teams, when you choose here, well, you're not very successful, unless right now you're Envy, who has been the only team I have seen
they like to go
regularly
to Fish Market,
choose Fish Market and win Fish Market when they choose it. And that's the kind of difference. If you understand this map, which to understand this map is to say, you realize that you're not bound by the same rules that bind other maps, all of a sudden you open up the door to what I would believe is a more successful style of play because of it.
I absolutely agree, and if there is a team in the console league, I think that will have picked up on it. It's Elevate, of course, notably talking about scrims. They've often been known to scrim upwards in the sense that you're looking at the minor league and maybe even some PPL teams that they've gone up against fully in prep for MSI, and it really shows, and it shows here. Exodia starting off with first blood onto Ochada, so you pick the Kinessa for some safe damage dealing from range. Doesn't pay off. Unfortunately, the early aggression from Exodia just holding down this corner here. Emmett Payne with a couple as well. Almost 3 on the counter. Counter is going to fall anyway. And Elevate, they only lose 1 or 2, but they're on the point.
And admittedly, the one they lost, Trinsic, with as aggressive as he was, I mean, this is still a point fight.
Yeah.
I'm going like that. This is blowing me away because no team gets this aggressive. Again, this is moving the line of scrimmage as far towards their base as you can when you're still on a mid-fight. Like, you're still worried about something that's,
true,
at this point, 30, 40, 50 feet behind you. But Trinsic, like, immediately was just in their face. He has 2 people looking at him because you have no choice. There's a con in your back line. They kill him, but it lets everyone else on Elevate just move forward. They get a couple kills on the side because of it. It's just like, you know, this goes back to set number 1 earlier when we're watching Legacy kind of make the same play. It's like, I'll die if it means that my team's going to not only win the point, but then come through and clean you up.
Yeah, I mean, that's why Fish Market is so punishing in a way. I mean, if you have a team, in this case it's Elevate, who is so clean on a team fight where they only lose 1 member, and you lose all 5, and you hold down this hill where they are right now, that is a long walk back to the point. That's why oftentimes you'll see one clean fight from the team who ends up winning is all they need, and then the zone is so deep and so hard to break. That's really all you end up seeing. 1 minute and 40 seconds left, though. Payload just now cresting the hill on its downward trend. That's going to be the overpower, the hook. Not going to do anything there, but just kind of funny to see. Struck user flying away, throwing out the hook, and Trinsic is living rent-free in the back of the Eaststorm base right now. Maybe, and he does end up getting a kill towards the end of it. But 1 death total. It is onto Trinsic, and that's just kind of an effect of playing as aggressively as he has been.
It's one of those things, you know, I always call Khan Fat Victor. Trinsic is playing Fat Talus right now. Like, he's going flank style. He's not going damage dealer, although I guess technically they fall one and the same. One's a subset of the other. His goal is just run you down, make you look at him, distract you, and, well, if he gets his way, come out with at least 1 or 2 kills on top of all of it. Using his ult at the very end there is just like, cool, I'm going to confirm this. We're going to keep the aggression, keep the momentum. And now I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to run you down, and I'm going to be looking to kill off Ochada. I'm going to look to kill off Counter, or I'm going to look to kill off this Saris. Either way, I'm going to walk away with a W.
And a big W for the big man of Trinsic riding around. Khan on this horse right now, and Ochada keeps getting poked out right now. I mean, I like the thought of the Kinessa, but Trinsic is really just free to rotate around the Eaststorm team, and that's what he did at the end of the last round. He's what he's doing at the beginning of this round, throws Counter into the Wolves in the pit. That's going to be wonderful, able to clean up that one, though. And look at that. I mean, he's got so much attention pulled on him right now. That's 3 members in that. It was Struck User, Dishonor, as well as Undulant, the healer, all looking Trinsic's way. And here's that zone I was talking about. That's a clean team fight win, and now they're just going to spread out on this hill here. No chance from Eaststorm. 5 streaked out members of Elevate. They're going to be pushing for the win in a matter of seconds.
This is meat through the grinder right now, and the grinder is Elevate. And, well, you can kind of guess who the meat is. Eaststorm, I feel like collectively have spent, I'd be willing to bargain 75% of the game dead at this point. Like, they are just getting bullied incredibly hard by Trinsic, who is playing this perfectly, like the exact way the team needs it. He is in their face. He's causing so much distress just from that factor, let alone the fact that he keeps getting a kill onto the sniper, which should be a power pick,
there they go.
but is not.
Finally, Trentic gets cleaned up. Granted, he had an overpowered enemy in the middle of the pit there, and they finally are able to turn and clean him up, so they buy a little bit of respite for themselves just for a minute. That's the second death in this game for Elevate as a team. Fortunately, both onto Trentic, but it's not going to matter. Exodia with 2, Wonderful with 1. 5-minute, 30-second game. Hope you didn't blink back at home because Elevate, they're looking clean right now. This one's going to go through 4-0, 4 streaked out, 4 double-digit fires burning away on Elevate's side. You don't go to Fish Market to lose, apparently. You go to Fish Market for a 5.5-minute game.
Well, I mean, that was like, I mean, blink and you miss it is almost an understatement. Like, I feel like we very briefly got to see, like, glimpses of Fish Market. Like, you could have told me that was just a highlight reel for a pregame segment, and I'd believe it.
What we really got to see was the dome of the E-Storm base. Is all of Fish Market that we got to see because there was no time spent fighting in the base right there. Exodia, 55,000 damage in a 5-minute game, sort of that 10,000 per minute pace, blown out of the water. Granted, only by about 5,000. 10-0-8, 1-0-10, 3-0-8, 7-0-7, 7-2-8. Trentic feeding in this one, unfortunately for his side, but it's okay. The rest of the team is there to pick up the slack. Only memeing, of course, but Elevate, I mean...
We'll forgive it because he played that con so damn well anyway. It's just like, you know what? You might have 2 deaths, but you played so well, we'll brush that one under the table for you.
I mean, there were moments where E-Storm, I mean, they found
they
some
got
kills.
2 kills.
Right, and those were the moments that I'm talking about. I don't know, it's tough because in one hand, I think I really just look at Elevate and how good they are. I mean, it's been a consistent level of play throughout the entire time. And I hesitate to say that anyone would have been able to keep up with them this split.
I think that's the thing to hone in on, is when you're looking at this, I want to make a comparison to Stush, although I think E-Storm still stands behind Stush in terms of growth over the split, but that's kind of where you're looking at it, is you're in a region where the #1 team is leagues ahead of the #2 team, and because of the way Cats on Mars have been playing lately, the #2 team is leagues ahead of the #3 team, and then 3 and 4 are like really close together, can take maps off of each other and be a 5-game set. And so when you're looking at E-Storm, you're looking at Retaliation, they're not the teams that are going to Elevate to be like, we're going to win. You're going to Elevate to be like, let's just try not to lose very, 5-minute 4-0s. Like, let's try to
I was gonna say,
slow the game down a little more.
I was going to say, maybe you hope to go in and take a map, but that's not happened up to this point. So really, you're just trying to win points here and do it in a little bit of a lengthier fashion. Of course, the 5.5-minute 4-0 is how Elevate starts off our final set of the day. And the band's looking very similar. Could continue. Of course, Ascension Peak is where we're going to head here. Leon starting off for Elevate. Looked good for them last time around. Then again, what didn't look good for them in map #1? I imagine they're not going to really show too much here as far as picks and bans. They're just going to probably be standard and not show too much of their cards prior to MSI.
Well, one of the things that Elevate do that I think is really strong for them, and that they've done it for weeks, they've done it this entire split, but I think that stands out above, to me, even Flashpoint, and that's that you have Victor, Vivian available. Whether or not you want them on Ascension Peak is really going to be the question, but they pick things other teams right now aren't picking. Leon is kind of surprisingly void, I want to say, overall, which is weird to me because normally on console she used to be a huge power pick, but they're like, cool, we'll run Leon, we'll run Cassie. Like, if we want to, we can run Amani, we can run Atlas. Like, they will just pick up literally anything, and I think that's part of what gives them their strength.
The Grok raises my eyebrows a little bit because we've kind of seen it as a solo healer Grok today, and the couple times that we have seen it.
I like to forget that.
And it hasn't really worked. I mean, there's strategy behind it, with the Tempest and all of that, but I don't think the inherent healing is there as well for Grok, at least in the meta where it's at. But
the spirits cannot.
Double healer. Technically, I imagine one of them will be a damage dealer of some sort. If not, okay, so 2 healers, 3 damage dealers for Elevate. I was saying they weren't going to throw anything too interesting out there, but looks like they're going to. Saris Damba, Leon, Victor, Drogos. And then on the opposite side, you get Atlas Khan Makoa, so I don't know. I don't know. There's too much to unpack here. Atlas Khan Makoa, so triple tank on one side.
Which means it's another support Grok. Get out of here. Get out of here with that. I'm not.
I was saying this in chat. Solo healer Khan. Hear me out. You go.
You know what? I prefer it over the Grok.
You go max CDR on everything. Your shout across the board. You buy Chronos 3 right off the bat, and then your team just stands in a big circle around you.
It's like they just. I like to imagine that it's just like a summoning circle for Khan.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. They just stand in the circle. He's in there shouting, healing him up. All right, so we're going to have to look. I'm going to be interested to see. So Soul Collector for Wonderful. Spirits Chosen for Exodia. So, I mean, they have 2 healers and 3 damage dealers truly on the opposite side.
This is Elevate. This is Elevate playing with their food. This is not like Shu is playing Victor. You've got Exodia, who I believe was on the Moldamba.
So this is kind of on a normal champion, I guess I would say.
They're like, okay, cool. We do have to have at least one guy who can play, the way we need to. This is them, and they're going to look good doing it. But I don't know if we're going to see the same 4-0. It kind of depends, I think, on Pain.
Be slightly less convincing. They are going to tie things up on the point, though. 15-15 might as well be 0-0. Both teams just kind of dancing around these statues right now. Chada finds kill number 1 in this one, so eStorm already with 50% of their total kills from what they found in game number 1. Undulant Games actually doing some healing on the solo healer Grok. Shu as well gets cleaned up. Only 2 kills in the game have been blue so far. Wonderful answers back though on the Saris. 81%. They need to get in and get a touch, surprisingly. Elevate do. And they're actually able to do more than that with a triple kill from Trenzik. I don't need to do it on the Khan. I can do it on the Leon. And now they're back on the point here in a good zone. Seals up point number 1.
Dave, this is very fitting since we got the quad DPS game earlier, but this is the same principle, but Saris Soul Collector is damage dealer. It's still a quad DPS. You just have to look at Saris as a DPS that also happens to have a heal on the side, because that's what they're going to be playing it as. That's what they're going to be kind of pushing forward with, and it follows the same principles. As long as Elevate are getting tons of kills, there's nothing eStorm can do. And honestly, even though they're triple frontline, I think the biggest downside, the thing that's going to stop this draft from matching and keeping up with Elevate, is the fact that they have a solo Grok.
Yep.
I think if they had a Saris, if they had something that would bounce with these frontlines maybe a little stronger, then they would be able to match, maybe even surpass Elevate. They'd have complete control of the game. But it is very much the fact that Elevate grabbed the 2 things that would have made this triple frontline work best.
I mean, hey, you got to do what you got to do. I mean, you're going to pick something interesting, at least counter out what's coming up against you. Emmett Payne, of course, on the Drogos this time around. Exodia, though, the double kill with the Moldamba. Double kill for Shu on the Victor as well. After a bit of a slow start with their interesting composition, Elevated finally got their feet under them. They're pushing for the 2-0 right now. eStorm are going to have to respawn, come out of their base right now. But they got a bit of a snake pit, both literally and figuratively, waiting down beneath them.
Well, that's first for me. I see a Dread Serpent go through the wall, and it gets stopped, because that is what that wall does. Anything that happens to fly through it will not, do anything. It'll just get nullified. And so you have that Dread Serpent that actually would have been round-ending.
Yeah, I think so.
Kind of wasted, and admittedly, I think that's a strength for eStorm. That's a solid win for them in this game of, set of unwinnings.
Could it just happen again with the
convergence? You guys, I hope they know what the wall does.
Well, you have to remember that. You have to remember that it's wonderful on the healer this time around. Shu has had a great game, honestly. Triple kill in this one for the Victor.
Oh, see, no, it was a flex. They just wanted to show they didn't even need the ults.
Yeah, I guess. I guess it could have been that way. Wow.
I'm writing the story for Elevate here.
Top damage in the game goes to Wonderful on the Saris 3-0 and 10. Not something I thought I was going to say today, but here I am saying it. 15 stacks on the Collector there for him.
Jeezy Pete's.
I mean, it works if you get enough, grouped up members on eStorm.
And that's actually really big. Soul Collector Saris was a thing console was running pre this, even just 2 patches ago, 3 patches ago. like the beginning of this split, we saw it a few times, and it's like it fits. Obviously, I think the teams that have made it work the best are the teams that are, well, leagues ahead of everyone else. But it is still something that was passed around through a lot of these teams. And so Elevate going back to it, this is, if I remember correctly, someone told me at one point, like, one of Wonderful's favorite things to play.
Sure, I mean,
Because,
in a
well,
weird way,
this.
it's probably like, it's very satisfying to watch. You spread out, you know, your mark, you get the extra damage on the crush of the mark, and it's honestly a satisfying kit to play. Obviously not super in meta, but Wonderful's making it look good right here. The Tempest, oh, right into the Dragon Punch, it looks like, out of nowhere. Emmett Payne comes flying through the screen and just bops Grok right on the head as he's flying by on the Tempest. Gonna make short work of that one. Kills still coming up blue here. Wonderful adding another one under his cap. 15 is his count down there on the bottom left. 60% is the count now on the point. And a Savage Shoe continues his tear in this one.
And you know, this is a great set in my mind. Like, this is a fun set.
Yeah, it's fun.
And that's like my favorite thing, because this is the last set of this split
Yep.
that's going to be broadcast, right? Until we see MSI. And so I think this is a good note to end it on, just because now we're looking at teams like as they go into the future. And it's nice to see some of these teams, especially the ones that recognize that they need to have those strategies kind of in their pocket for MSI. Just have fun with it. Remember that kind of this is why they got into competitive in the first place. They're
Absolutely.
just 5 really good players who have fun playing together.
And that was a good convergence as well. They're definitely having fun, I would say, in this one. Overtime's going to start going in the opposite direction for you if you're on the side of E-Storm. It's just counter alive now on the Con. He's going to get off, so despite dying, the payload still goes the way of Elevate. 3-0 right now, pushing for the 4. I mean, now that we have all the teams confirmed for MSI, granted Elevate was confirmed for a good bit of time, I need to see the SOT game of all of our players upped. I'm putting out a specific challenge to console, minor league, Premier League, all across the board. Do an MSI sock of the day, and there better be some replies with you know,
some solid socks.
With some solid socks. There have been, actually.
I'm glad you're only challenging the players. Otherwise, I'd have to go buy socks.
I know. Well, it's okay. I would never.
So, because this game's going to end, and because it is pretty one-sided, I think it's okay for me to go off on this tangent. I'm not big on socks.
Yeah, sure.
I don't do much with them. Mine are just standard, like, black, gray, athletic socks, whatever. Katie loves socks, and she loves getting a pair of socks for Christmas. I hate getting socks for Christmas. I hate getting clothes for Christmas in general. Is that weird? Am I the weird one?
No.
Or is there like a fine 50-50
No, it's the kids who are wrong. No, I
line up with the kids. I want toys. I don't want clothes.
No, that's fair. There was a distinct split, though. I don't remember when it was, but it was like, you know, Xboxes, all the toys and gadgets is all I wanted for years, and then eventually I just stopped wanting them, I guess because, like, I was starting to work jobs in the summer, so I could buy some of that stuff on my own, and then at that point, it's like, I don't really need anything, so just give me some socks.
Well,
I don't know. I like the socks,
yeah.
though.
This year, I think it's funny. I got more, Power Ranger toys from Katie than I ever did when I was a kid. But hey, Trinsic,
again,
wow, 5 deaths.
Trinsic. He had 2 deaths in the last one. He has 5 deaths in this one.
But it's okay. When you have someone who goes 12-0-18 and gets themselves a 21 KDA.
I'm absolutely just memeing Trinsic.
You can just
Trinsic at this point.
Who cares? Trinsic who? Show me more pain.
I mean, all things considered, a bit of a smoky Gouda of a composition here. Very cheesy for Elevate.
I like that one.
But Emmett Payne, all things considered, did have a really good game. Beautiful flame spits. The salvos were good. Of course, we're able to go off on a little bit of tangent towards the end of that one because it was all sealed up and done for Elevate.
That's my bad. Hell in that one.
No. I mean, Elevate was going to win that one 4-0 regardless. Actually, some interesting maps as well. We talk about this being a fun set. We get Fish Market, we get Ascension Peak, now we get Shattered Desert. Not a common map that you always get to see. So I'm pretty excited with this one. I don't imagine Elevate are going to lose their first map of the entire split here in their last game of the entire split. They could. I mean, you would imagine
Monday, E-Storm versus Elevate. Shattered Desert. Something.
This is where it all ends. This is where the 35 map win streak ends for them. No, it's not.
That's true.
Wait, is that? No. Yeah, because they would have been 33,
yeah,
34,
36.
35, 36 if they win this one. Of course,
But if they
Flashpoint
lose,
and Undefeated, well, Cyclone and Undefeated. All three of these top teams ending undefeated, then heating up, sealing things up in our last set of the day. They punched their ticket to MSI. This one's just a bit of a formality for Elevate, wanting to look good going out. They do it with a 3 DPS, 2 healer, 1 technical DPS in the Ceres.
2 role swaps as well, just so you know. Like they were not playing their intended champions for that last one. Well, of course, I guess if your 2 front lines are playing something different, but
yeah,
even your support swapped with what? Shu? Shu was playing Victor, and I can't remember who took over for the Moldamba.
It was Exodia, because Wonderful was on the Ceres, I believe.
There you go.
Either way, they're just having some fun with it. Their ticket was punched long, long ago, so just wanting to end on the right foot. Buck, hello. He heroic leaps his way into our drafts here. That was pretty good.
That was pretty good. 10 out of 10.
Talk to me about Buck, though, on a serious note. Why hasn't Buck been maybe picked up as much?
There's just... It's not a flank meta right now. It's really like the blanket answer. It's just very much heavy on Victor. For console, then you add in, Cassie, Leon. This one specifically, you would add Vivian. Then the flanks you do have right now have been Koga and Talus.
Sure.
Buck just, it's kind of in that awkward area.
Yeah.
He doesn't do what he used to do, which was live forever, which made him fall out of hand. But he still does a lot of damage.
He is mortal.
But it's that certain maps play his style, I think, a little better. But the problem is that his style is along the same lines like Maeve's style, right? The same lines that we see Eevee's style. So in the Premier League, we're not going to see it because Eevee's going to be #1 because that's who everyone loves. And then for every other league, we shouldn't see it because Maeve is going to be #1, if not #2 behind Eevee, depending.
Absolutely.
But Buck,
we get to take a look at him. I mean, if we saw 3 DPS, 2 healer, technical, one of those healers was DPS, workout last time around. I don't think Buck is too far of a reach to say he's going to do well for Elevate. Potentially our last game of split #1 for the PCL coming in here. Actually what?
I can't remember. And if we could hover Buck for this one, I'd love to. Because he did get a buff, I believe, this patch.
Maybe?
I'm just trying to remember which it was, because I can't remember whether or not he did or did not. And of course, I do want to see what he's going to be running, which is probably not going to be anything too crazy. I think he has 2 talents right now that could really be run. And it does look like he's going for Ensnare. So whenever he hits someone with net shot, it's going to be bonus damage. He's probably going to be running a loadout that gives him a little bit more. And that is what it is. He got 1 extra shot, 1 more bullet. That's what I thought. I didn't want to say it. 1, in case I was spoiling something, and 2, in case it was like reload speed or something.
Right.
But 1 extra shot, and he's gone for what looks like a very standard build. I'm pretty sure this is not the default, but you could probably tell me I'm wrong, and I'd believe you, because it's all 3s all around.
Well, he never skips leg day, and he doesn't here. He has 3 in that line.
God, I kind of wish I did.
There's some of that inherent healing. Yeah, I know. You've been kicking around the legs. The standing, I think, is bad on top of running in leg day. First of all, running and then doing legs just seems so wild to me. But
Yeah, again, to quote Katie here, I had mentioned going to the gym, and she said it's not supposed to be torture, and I said, well, it is.
It is on leg day. Trenzik finds first blood yet again in this one. The Bomb King for him this time around, and we've seen a little bit of ruckus here today as well to mixed success, but I imagine on the side of Elevator will be good. Ooh, great stun there. The follow-up damage is only good for 1, though. Struck user just trying to keep his team alive, but it's Elevate playing from the point.
He's just going stuns galore right now. Unfortunately, that one's going into the shield, and any more that might come up afterward might not do enough. 63%, 66% here.
The stun Damba.
As even though counter and struck user are playing out of their minds right now, it is going to be Elevate again, kind of switching around who's playing what. Shu is on the Buck this time around, which is another reason why I would say it wouldn't surprise me if it was maybe a default loadout, because I'm not sure how much he's prepared for this. And shotgun shots galore, that was gorgeous.
There's something so satisfying about that. 3 get pulled in, 2 get blown up, 1 taken down to about half health. Shu in there just to help poke out a little bit of damage. Overtime's going to expire. 3 points away from ending their split. Now our Elevate. Trenzik with some doinks on the Undulant Games finds that kill as well. There's the threat of Buck, just kind of pops around the corner, slows you down with his net, and then allows the rest of the team. The inherent healing there in Buck, the healing not enough to keep Shu alive, but Trenzik with the King Bomb nice and charged up from his many kills so far is good for 1 onto counter. There's always an interesting map to watch teams push on, I would say. There's kind of these 3 valleys that you can travel through. Right now, going for the left and the right in the payload. That's just kind of hanging out in the back line. Exodia with a couple on this Ruckus, though.
Well, the shots are going to be good. Exodia is literally standing outside the base. Unfortunately for him, he's going to get stunned down. Actually bullied a little bit, so he has to fall back. And I believe, as funny as it is, no, it was not Shu. I was going to say, it feels like Shu was given the duty, even though he's not on the healer, to sit back on top of the payload and push it. But now it's coming around the corner where everybody's going to be able to tag in, do whatever they want. Ancient Rage in the face, but they're going to be burning through 10k health pretty fast.
It's actually not a bad Ancient Rage, and helps set up counter for a good barrage as well. Trenzic's the only one to end up dying right now. Dread Serpent from Eaststorm also thrown at the wall, and you know it's tough because they throw Ancient Rage, Barrage, Dome Shield, Dread Serpent, all of that gets tossed out right there for Eaststorm, and only 1 kill comes of it. Granted, Elevate used some of their ultimates as well, but looking like good defense right now here. The hooks have been good from Dishonor as well. Still plenty of time on the clock though, 55 seconds. And the Pain will respawn and rejoin the group here. Struck User, the healer's down for 5 more seconds from Eaststorm, so they could get aggressive here and push it in, but they're gonna back off, regroup, and maybe give it another go.
Well, they're set up. There's gonna be some good bombs coming in.
So that's a little trap.
A little trap, but it didn't quite get the kill he wanted to. 30 seconds on the clock. King Bomb's about to come available. Hexafire just came up. The question really is going to be whether or not Elevate want to commit fully for a 2-0, or if they want to just go ahead and let 1 point go. Of course, knowing them, probably not going to let the 1 point go. Also, doesn't seem like they're going to need the ults to be able to do so.
Yeah, I don't think so. Struck User taking an interesting 1v1 with Shu there. I think he maybe was assuming Ochada was a little bit closer to him. Shu gets the better of the healer in that scenario. The respawns, though, are good for Eaststorm. Back to full strength right now, and not a very far walk from the base. Exodia just free firing. Here's the Hexafire. I wanted it. I get it in this case. The barrage, though, into the Hexafire. Both of them are going to get the better of one another in this case. There's 3 for Elevate, 3 for Eaststorm. Emmett Payne, though, gets hooked right into the gourd of the waiting Maldama. It's only down to Trenzic. It actually looks like Eaststorm are going to be able to find the defense here. And they do. No back-to-back-to-back 4-0s here for Elevate. 1 point on the board for Eaststorm.
They do it. That's the step. That's the first step. That is the first step to beating a team like Elevate when you know, I guess at this difference in level. And then, you know, your next goal 2 points against them. Then your next goal 3 points, then a map. You know, I was about to throw the Renegades under the bus, and I don't know why. They just came to mind because as a team that's had some struggles going from 3 to 4 in games,
yeah,
I think they are at the forefront. I'm still a little frustrated at that, but I'm sure they are as well. Either way, Elevate here. 7-1-3 for Exodia on the Ruckus. Buck, 2-3-5, not doing anything crazy, not doing anything really poorly, but the damage is all in Counter's favor, and that's actually where it's big. Counter has been such a phenomenal victor.
Yeah,
all split
agreed,
long.
Agreed, absolutely agreed, and it's another one of those examples of where despite Eaststorm having a really tough go of things, the players at moments have all had really good individual performances. Counter's had, you know, his fair share as well. Dishonor. I mean, Eaststorm has moments where the players have really big moments. Another good convergence. The wonderful Ceres. It's been there so far up to this point. Exodia with another double kill. But no, I absolutely agree with you. Eaststorm, specifically in talking about Counter, definitely a tried and true victor throughout this split. You can always count on him to be towards the top of the damage charts whenever they're playing.
Well, this is definitely one that I think is a little more, again, skewed overall, especially actually the longer this stays even, you know, 1-1, 2-2, 3-3, even if it goes maybe down 2-0, 3-0 like we've seen in the past couple of games. Well, it does seem like Elevate kind of have the ball in their court, and, well, it hasn't left since
No, it's been make it,
started.
take it. It's been make it, take it, very much so. They've been draining threes, getting the ball right on back. Eaststorm do find the defense for the first point of the day. Counter, a good barrage there, a nice double kill on the victor. So Eaststorm starting off another defense very strongly here. Elevate's going to get the respawns through, so now they have to fight through Eaststorm in order to get back to the payload.
You know, that white suit's going to get dirty in this desert.
You're right.
But
terrible choice.
Theoretically,
terrible choice.
It will help him keep cool.
I don't think, Gore, you know, I don't think that's how that works. I mean, technically, yes, he's wearing a white suit, so the sun might go away, but at the end of the day, he's in a full suit and jacket.
Actually,
it could be clear and it would still be hot.
Well, but a fun fact, in the desert, if I remember correctly, you'd actually rather have more covering you, specifically because it will keep your sweat in with the clothes and will keep you cooler so you could survive longer in the heat versus if your sweat is evaporating with the heat, which would kind of just drain you of all of your liquid immediately.
Well, now I know next time I find myself in the deeps of the Sahara to keep the tuxedo that I have on, inevitably on in this case, because it's better to shield all of that moisture inside. You're learning things here today that you never thought you'd learn, Paladins.
Anybody in the chat who happens to get stranded in the desert, you're set. If you ever need to know how to turn a pair of jeans into a life vest, dude, I got you. There's some really
I'm going to pick your brain about
skills.
that one. I don't think now's the time to dive into the life vest pantaloon talk, but when the time is nigh, I'll definitely pick your brain on that one because I am kind of interested. The payload has slowly moved forward while the desert talk has been in the mouths here. The King Bomb rolls through, just trying to find a couple. He finds the kill and the stun. Perfectly placed from Trenzik there. That opens the door. You have two frontliners and a healer left. Undulant Games could be the next to fall. Oh, well-placed bomb just runs right into it. Is the Genos. A bit of a toss backwards there from Ash. Right into the waiting hands of Trenzik here. And in comes Leaping Shoe on the Buck with the double kill for himself. Maybe a triple, but the stun Damba sees to it. That Buck has a little bit more downtime than ammo. Here's a barrage. Could stall things out a little bit, but there's nobody except for Emmett Payne. The assert dominance from the low ground goes up to the high ground. Shu gets cleaned up here. Counter with a bit of a free-firing opportunity on this Victor, but unfortunately he has Emmett Payne. However, the assert dominance has worn off, and it's just enough to find defense number 2, Gore.
I mean, they're doing what they need to. Eaststorm.
Hey, you said it started with 1 point.
And then it goes to 2. They found their map. Honestly, Counter is one of... I want to say one of the best Victors, I think, that there is. Like, there's a lot of Victor players on console, but I think Counter can put himself up there as, like, it's almost game-changing when he gets this champion versus others. Like, it feels so comfortable from him, and he gets a lot done. Yeah, you have to take that with a grain of salt, because Elevate are playing around a little bit. Shu running a default loadout, not playing as standard champions. Like, the same thing for the rest of Elevate, kind of role-swapping around.
Right.
But, like... he's still putting up good damage, and like he's done that in the past.
Right. Even outside of today, that has been the case.
Yes.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree. I mean, regardless, having 100,000 damage at 10 minutes into the game is an important feat in a game like this. And honestly, one of the main reasons Eaststorm has been able to find a couple of defenses in this one. Trenzik's looked pretty good on the Bomb King. He's had a couple games of it so far. Exodia, of course, looking good on the Ruckus here in this case, but goes leaping out, gets hooked up by the Makoa, but is able to leap out back to safety, and it's actually Eaststorm this time around that are fighting from the point.
And being able to finally get themselves on the objective, take control of it, maybe find a kill. Unfortunately, they lose Counter, who I'd say has the most likelihood of finding more kills, but this Ancient Rage is doing well. This Bomb King's trying to get out, but Trenzik gets bullied into the corner.
And Gore, they have 2 kills. Elevator down to 2 members now. 78% climbing. This is going to be Eaststorm's point. They're going to be pushing for a win right now. Don't forget, Elevate with a bit of a cheeky lineup right now, but they have not lost a map the entire split. So this could be Eaststorm at the midnight hour. It's 11:59 and 59 seconds in split number 1 of the PCL. And they could take Elevate's undefeated, or, well, they're going to likely remain undefeated, but unlosing maps to the test here.
And they're going to be able to do so pretty well. That was a good grenade from Counter. They've got the damage. They've got the kills. It's whether or not they can kind of keep up the control. Counter's warranting a lot of attention. Shu keeps going and getting rid of him. But you're leaving people like Trenzik open for defeat, I guess, at the end of the day. It's going to be a 3-for-1 overall trade, but you do lose, well, one of your 2 supports, which is perfectly fine if you're Eaststorm. This got a lot more interesting in the last 30 seconds, and so far it's just been solid from Eaststorm until that convergence.
The convergences have been spot on from Wonderful up to this point. So tip my cap to him, because I think I've seen 2-man or 3-man convergences 2 or 3 separate times in this game. Elevate, put their foot down, literally draw their line in the sand, since we are on Ascension Peak, of course. Or, well, no, we're not. We're on Shattered Desert, of course. They draw their line in the...
They draw their line in the sand on Ascension Peak.
On Ascension Peak. There is some sand on the sides of Ascension Peak. That's where my mind was. My mind was in the last map. But
your mind went down the well in Ascension Peak.
It is Shattered Desert, as I so quickly corrected myself. The moment Ascension Peak left my mouth, I immediately corrected myself back to Shattered Desert. Counter continuing to free fire on this Victor. He's the guy who's allowed eStorm really to find a few points in this one. They are, of course, one away from actually winning this map. One more burst on a Trenzik's all it's going to take. And a good stun. The stun Maldamba has actually paid off somewhat well, I would say, for eStorm as well. Bucks leaping out, gets a little bit of healing. Another great convergence from Wonderful, wouldn't you have guessed? And that sets up Shu for kill number 1. It's going to go on a counter, arguably the last person you would want to lose if you're eStorm.
And now they're setting themselves up perfectly to be able to find some kills. That's a good amount of damage coming down from Wonderful, as well as the 15 stacks coming through. But he's just setting it up. He's not even popping the burst that he can. He's just getting the shots and letting the team run through with whatever they need. 10 seconds left on the clock. And while eStorm looked like they had maybe a good go of it a couple of times, a couple of fights going their way, this is definite control coming from Elevate.
Yeah, the Dishonor hook's going to slow things down, but just a little too too late. It's going to come down to one final point fight. Either the split is over and Elevate remain undefeated map-wise, or eStorm are able to take the map away from Elevate. So a little bit of a wrinkle here at the very end of the day. Undulant Game 0623 has maintained a good level of life and healing as well. And Elevate are going to hope to, despite playing a little bit of a cheesy composition, see things through here, undefeated map-wise. The Ultimates, not really one side or the other. I guess I should say eStorm are much further ahead. They have 4 to Elevate's 3.5 or 2.5 with the Convergence almost coming back up here. We are going to go back into it, though, and the Buck has been impactful, unimpactful. What are your thoughts on what you've seen out of Buck?
I'd say a little bit of both. I've seen times where Shu goes in and he's getting very important kills, and it's moments like this, like that headshot damage, it's only going to be hitting about 800 there on top of the Makoa, but
gets rid of.
On a Victor, that's going to be a ton, and that is the moment you need to come through. Netshot as well, kind of collapsing and corralling everybody on eStorm. Like, you can't run away from him. All of a sudden, your movement abilities are just gone, and that's the thing I think that's been big, is these headshots, the 5 shots that he has, the net, and soon to be potentially a Buck Wild, like, everything's solid from him.
And they finally flipped that switch towards the end of the game. Some of the defenses, some of the offenses from eStorm have been looking good over the course. But it looks here like Elevate are going to be able to seal things up. 90% on the point. They are able to get back and get a touch, though. The Dread Serpent comes through. It's going to get Wonderful a little bit displaced, but Shu finds the first kill. Emmett Payne staying alive on this Ashe as well. Good stun, keeps the shoulder bash in place. He's able to dance back behind his wall right now and fighting within that gourd, but Trenzik's there to kill off Struck User. The Poppy Bomb to get aggressive right now from Trenzik. A double kill for the Bomb King, maybe a triple here, but what really matters is they've backed off. Elevator at overtime, and it looks like this is all she wrote, Gore.
Well, that 99 turns into 100. Elevate walk away, not dropping a single map. Something Flashpoint can't say. I don't know why I wanted to, I just wanted to get that last one in, just to nudge Flashpoint a little bit. I love those guys just as much as I love the Elevate guys. They're fun to watch, and because of it, it's fun to poke their buttons in.
Fun to poke the buttons every now and again. We got to see today what ended up being all 4 of your first place Console League teams in each of the different regions. The Elevate, of course, in this one taking it 3-0 after 4-0, 4-0, 4-3 on the last map. Some good slash lines there. Emmett Payne, the one negative member, I think. Well, he had 30 assists, so you can't really consider that negative. Also, he's 5-4, so that's not negative anyway. But all of Elevate playing pretty lights out today. And really good, honestly. I mean, there were some teams getting a little playful with it and throwing some interesting compositions out there. But overall, a good last look as we send these guys off and we usher them into Atlanta here in a few weeks.
Now, if you thought this Buck was good, imagine what it could do with a loadout. Because that's the thing. This was and granted, leg day, I don't think you'd run leg day 3 on this map, leg day 2 maybe, because what you're seeing, those large leaps is going to be the leg day.
Yeah.
But you are seeing not quite as much damage following up with the net shot. You're not seeing the net shot do quite as much as I think it could do. And I don't think he's going to be running the same, or he wasn't running the same amount of damage reduction as you would normally see out of a Buck loadout as well. And that's the thing. You could go recovery, you could go net shot. Either one I think works. Different reasons, different play styles, but this was Shu playing, again, base level Buck.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, always fun to see someone you don't get to see very often come out. It's very exciting to see him jumping around, finding some shots. Of course, 12-0, 36 is the big number to look at there. 12 times 3-0 equals 36. 8-4, Cats on Mars and the split in second, Retaliation in third, and then, of course, East Storm down at the bottom there. So congrats to all the teams on a good split. But now, Gore, we have our teams, of course, Flashpoint in there, Heating Up in there, Cyclone, and, of course, Elevate, our last team in the MSI. So congrats to all of them. We're going to see them here in a few weeks competing in Atlanta. It was a fun split, though, of the Console League. Honest, I mean, it was interesting in that beginning that we could always see the writing on the wall in a way in that NAPS4 region, because I remember we talked about it on Esports Weekly once. Like, we expected Heating Up to come through and dominate sort of similarly in the way to that some of the other regions had been. But Onslaught was right there with them the entire time.
And it was really interesting because they were one of those regions where they would swap players with each other. They'd have to change players like all around. And so it was one that, and this is what I said, like if this happens to Flashpoint, this could happen to Cyclone, this could happen to Elevate at any point in time where all of a sudden 5 good players happen to make a team in your region. You fall in the same area where Onslaught and Heating Up do, where all of a sudden you're not just number one, you're teetering back and forth.
Teetering back and forth. But like I said, that is going to do it for split number 1 of the Console League. Congrats to all 4 of the top teams for making their way through to the MSI. We'll see you guys in a few weeks, but we'll see you guys tomorrow for the Minor League.
Brought to you by Skillshot, Hi-Res Studios, Evil Mojo, INAP, SteelSeries, Respawn.